Hi and welcome back. I'm going to share with you my latest purchase. I purchased a NanoVNA. This actually has the latest version of software on it. And what this is, a very tiny handheld vector network analyzer. And you can use this to check your coax cable. The main reason I bought this was to check SWR. You can do a sweep of whichever band you put in there, and it will show you the SWR for that frequency range. All right, so when you open your kit, you're gonna see, we can take it out here, your NanoVNA right there. And then it comes with 3 SMA connectors. And these are very important because when you set your frequency, program your frequency into the VNA, the NanoVNA, you need to calibrate it. So you have 3 different SMA connectors. One of them's open. One of them's called short. It actually shorts it out. And the other one is a 50 ohm load. And you need to use these 3 to calibrate your Nano VNA. All right, in your kit, you also get a couple short cables in there. You get a C-type connector to C-type connector. And you also get a USB to C. This will connect to your computer, and you can also charge with this off the computer. And I believe the S to S is probably for charging also. And then you get like a guitar pick here. A little connector here to connect the 2 cables together. And then if you remember the days of PDA, you get a little stylus here. And what that is used for is the touch screen on here. All right, I have powered it on. This is it's pretty small, hence the name Nano. But the stylus here, like I said, is used to touch the screen and to access the menu here. And to show you how small this is credit card sized. 6 free wings. Oh, that's cool. Oh, darn it, it expired. But anyway, if you hold it over the Nano here, you can see that it's the size of a credit card. So it's a pretty small screen to read. And it's very hard to get an angle without reflection here when you film this. Now there's lots of informational videos on this to show you how to use this and how to program it and calibrate it. I'll probably make a future video on this, but the main reason I bought this and what I wanted to share first with this was I bought this because you can program the frequencies and do an antenna sweep and see the SWR over a range of frequencies. So I wanted to use this on the Solarcon A-99 antenna I just installed. I noticed there's lots of videos on the internet, but very few that show the 11 meter band. This covers the entire ham band and, of course, 11 meter band. And what I did with this, I've already programmed it. And if we go on the menu here and we go to recall, you have 4 memory banks in here that you can use. This one being the Type H, what's nice about this one is it comes in a plastic case, and it also has a slot for a micro SD card. And you can pick this up on Amazon. I paid $59. It was only about $5 more than the previous model, which didn't have the case, SD card, or the latest software. So I would recommend this. So getting back, I programmed the first 2 slots in the internal memory. You can see I have from 24.89 megahertz to 29.7 megahertz. And that covers 10, 11, and 12 meters, which the A-99 antenna is supposed to be able to cover without, cutting the antenna. You're supposed to be able to do that with adjusting the rings. And then I also have 144 megahertz to 450 megahertz, and that will cover the ham bands 2 meter and 70 centimeter. All right, I had a little different course of action here. I had filmed this entire video and I wasn't happy with how it turned out, and I'll explain that later. But first of all, what I want to do here is we're going to take a look at an SWR meter, a mechanical one here, and I have it on channel 1, and we're going to compare the readings with the NanoVNA and see how they differ. All right, so I have it calibrated, and let's see what our SWR is on channel 1. This is on the A-99 antenna. So we're just shy of 1.1. All right, I think I'm going to call that 1.05. And now on channel 40, we're calibrated. We're going to call that, boy, that's just barely over 1.2. So why don't we call it 1.25? Maybe 1.23. And those are very good readings. Now, if we look at when we have the amp on, let's do it with the amp. All right, with the amp on, we're at 1.2 on channel 1. And on channel 40, we're at 1.4. So we're at 1.05 without the amp and 1.2. And we had, a bigger increase on channel 40. Well, no, about an equal one on channel 1 and channel 40. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the NanoVNA and see what kind of readings we get. All right, so we have the NanoVNA in here, and I did change a couple things on it. So let's go into the menu. And what I changed on this is the frequency range. And it's kind of hard to tell to see the menu there, unless we get really close. And I changed the frequencies on this because this can only plot 101 points. And I had it going from the 12 or the 10 all the way to the 12 meter band. And the graph was just kind of funky looking. So I narrowed the band just to the 11 meter band. Now, before we hook up the antenna, and I've read this, if you look on the back of here, it says avoid static discharge. So I hear that static electricity is not a friend of this. So we're going to take some precautions before we hook up the antenna. Because remember, an antenna can build up static electricity. So we need to make sure that we don't have any a static buildup in the antenna. So we're going to short the end of the coax out and try to discharge any electricity that might be in there. Now, I think the humidity outside is not that low right now, so I'm not too worried about static, but we're still going to do that. Now, if you have your antenna grounded outside, if you have an 8-foot grounding rod driven into the ground, and you have the coax grounded also, you should be okay. I have not put in my grounding rod yet. So 2 ways I thought you could discharge. You could just touch your hand across them and that would short them out. Or, this might be a little bit overkill, but I bought a wire. It has, I think, a resistor in it and an alligator clip on the other end. And let's put this here. I thought you could just ground it this way too. And that would run it to the ground that goes through the house. So I think we're okay now. So our next step is to hook up to the cable here. All right, we have it hooked up. Got to get a good angle here, maybe below it. And we have it hooked up to the 11-meter band. And as you can see, we can use the little wheel here. And we can make it go across the CB band. And as you can see, it does go up from, let's see if I do this, channel 1, you can drag it, all the way up to channel 40. All right, so on channel 1, on the bottom of the band, this says, it's like we have an SWR of 1.171. Now, when we read it on the meter, we were about 1.05. So that, to me, that's quite a bit of difference there. And then if we go up to channel 40, let's go all the way up. We have an SWR of 1.518, and we read it on the meter, it was 1.4. Now, I'm not sure which one to believe. 1.5 is still acceptable. I mean, that's kind of high, but I'm not quite sure why there's a difference between the meters and the NanoVNA. Not quite sure why there's such a big difference. Now, I tried hooking this meter, this SWR meter up, and it pretty much had the same readings as this SWR meter. All right, just for the sake of argument, let's hook up the antenna tuner, which has a built-in SWR meter. And here we are on channel 1, and let's see what we get here. We get on 1.21, and on channel 40 we get 1.54. So that's more in line with the NanoVNA. Okay, I just plugged the NanoVNA into my computer. And we're going to go ahead and launch the app here. And we can look on here. And let's see if I can show you this. Make some room here. Okay, so what we have to do is connect. And here we go. And here we can see our frequency. We're at 26.9.65. A Smith chart, return loss. See, I'm not sure how to read all these yet, but if we go down here on the chart, we can see our minimum SWR is 1.168 at 26.9655, which would be channel 1. And then as we drag it here, we can see our SWR here. So if I drag the marker here, we can see the SWR go up. You can see what frequency we're at, and you can see how it goes up, all the way to 1.528 at channel 40. And remember, that's without running an amp. So I'm going to be more inclined to believe that the NanoVNA is correct. I think it's more accurate than the digital meters. What I might do is put a 50 ohm slug at the end of the cable, take an SWR reading, and see if we get 0 SWR. And I'm going to do that in a future video. So this cable, like I said, this is a nice, this is a good quality cable I put on here. If you look at it, you can see it's RG8X, 93 feet. But I did notice when I had the cheaper cable hooked onto it, which was 50 feet, I had a much lower SWR reading. On the A-99 antenna, I have the rings up probably 3/4 of the way to get this reading. I mean, I'm happy with my SWR readings. I'm just a little bit more curious why the SWR meters are different than the VNA and my antenna tuner. But like I said, I think the VNA is a much more accurate measuring device. So there you have it. There's the VNA, the NanoVNA. And, you know, I'm happy with this. I'm going to have to do more research. Like I said, I've never even really heard of them or used it before this week. So I know very little about it. I just knew how to set it up, take an SWR reading. So I want to analyze the cable, the coax a little better. I know this has features where you can analyze the, like I said, the coax. So I think I'm going to do that in a future video. But that's how I would expect the SWR to go up across the band. So it's a little higher than I would like it to be, but I haven't been able to get it down with the rings. So, I might have to try something different to bring the SWR down. Maybe even a different coax. I might try a different coax. But there you have it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you're not a member. And if you are, I appreciate that. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you later.